I hope you're enjoying this free full episode of Takedown on our YouTube channel, but there's something you need to know. There are literally hundreds of new episodes either in production or on our streaming channel right now, uncensored. Watch TruBlu.com. Use the code YouTube25 to watch all of the episodes for $2.50, or for an annual subscription, use YouTube Year for $20 off. Also, and this is very important, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on TruBlu. Welcome to a special episode of Takedown with Chris Hansen. As you know, for the past several months, I've worked with Genesee County, Michigan Sheriff Chris Swanson and his GHOST team investigating adults trying to meet children for sex, all a part of a major string of sting operations where these men are exposed, I get to interview them, and they are arrested and held accountable. But now we've come across a different sort of investigation, a predator who is operating in multiple states, one who targeted a 12-year-old girl in Flint, Michigan. It all starts with a visit to an emergency room after the girl had been sexually assaulted. This is 22-year-old Peter Pedjick. He was taken into custody by the Genesee County Sheriff's Office in early 2022 for allegedly sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl he met online and groomed through Instagram. Over the course of the investigation, illicit secrets, devious actions, and disturbing revelations would come into focus, leaving everyone stunned. The crime started to unfold with a phone call to Sheriff Chris Swanson and GHOST. GHOST is the Genesee Human Oppression Strike Team, and they are one of the most successful child predator operations in the country. And how did you find out about this crime?
Because of her family that saw the need and immediately took her to Hurley Hospital. And, you know, those professionals at hospitals, and especially the emergency rooms, triage nurses, trauma docs, it's easy when a story comes in to try to piecemeal. That's what they do. They're experts at assessment. And you hear a story and you start putting the pieces together, you realize, okay, this little girl has been sexually assaulted.
The girl's parents bring her to the emergency room. Your department is notified. How do you then connect this horrifying crime to the predator?
Her phone. Phones are priceless pieces of evidence that link our whole world together. So we have a 24/7 GHOST operator on call every day, 365. And they were dispatched to the hospital, immediately took the statement, grabbed the phone, Captain Nelson downloaded it, and boom, there's the conversation, there's the suspect, there's the contact that we need, and we start building a case, and we do it from, think about it as you're kind of putting toothpaste back in the tube. You know, it's not always easy to do, but you got to put it back to see where it started from, and that's what we do.
What GHOST investigators uncovered in the phone of the 12-year-old victim was troubling, disturbing, and every parent's nightmare. Why did Peter Pedjick target this specific 12-year-old girl?
He's attracted to young people. It's out very innocent, and it starts out just building a friendship. But he's already watching what she's posting at Instagram, so he knows the things that interest her, he knows the places she goes, the emotions she has, and he just plays on that. And then it quickly rolls into, we're gonna make this meet. And you know, if I say something to you and you don't turn me down, I just came a step closer, and then a step closer. But the ultimate goal is for him to facilitate a physical interaction.
That physical interaction happened February 2022. Peter Pedjick flew from Florida to Detroit, Michigan, where surveillance footage captured him in the early morning hours.
He convinced her that he would fly up and he would meet her at a parking lot, at a church parking lot, at midnight. He had already gone to a hotel, which is in the area off of Pearson 75, rented the room. We knew what time that was. We have the surveillance videos. Then he came back, picked her up, took her back to the hotel. We have him walking down the hallway. She's a little tiny 12-year-old girl. 12-year-old. Gets her in the room, and he's with her for 4 hours. And full sex, oral sex, He's videoing the whole thing, and he's teaching her, told her what he wanted her to wear, how he wanted her to do her hair, grooming. And he said, if you do this, I'm going to pay you with crypto money for gaming.
Crypto money for gaming.
And that was her theme. So everybody's got a button.
How did he groom this 12-year-old girl on Instagram?
Well, many times the platforms are just the introduction, and they take it offline because they know they're being monitored. So they'll go right to texting, and that's what happened. Is he took her to a text conversation, which is obviously not monitored, and that's how the conversation continued. And he broke her down. And after that interaction of 4 hours, he was in Michigan for 48 hours. I can only account for 4. That little girl had a psychological breakdown, and her parents took her to the hospital. And it was at that moment that the SANE nurses, which are sexual assault forensic nurses, recognized not only physiological trauma from a grown man to a 12-year-old girl, but the emotional breakdown, and that's what opened the door.
The clock was ticking to catch this volatile child predator before he could claim another victim. So how did the Genesee County Sheriff's Office track Pajic down? Detectives Walker and Kennemer documented their journey as they partnered with Florida law enforcement.
All right, we just landed in Fort Lauderdale. We got a rental car. We're driving to our hotel. So as we're looking at the pings, we're pinging the guy's phone all day long. Looks like he went south right now. He's down in like Hollywood. So he's not by his house. He's about an hour away from his house. So, you know, one of our fears right now is that he's out there and there's another victim perhaps, or he's out there and not going to come home. Hopefully we'll make that work. We've been in contact with our FBI friends, and if it comes down to it, they have a vehicle that can track his phone and pinpoint his location, and we'll be in contact with them. But saying our prayers tonight that he'll return home and everything will go as planned as we set up.
Things don't always go as planned, though, and the detectives fear Peter Pajic might slip through their fingers.
Looks like our suspect didn't go home last night. He stayed in Fort Lauderdale. So the hunt is on. Getting breakfast in the morning.
Good morning. We're closing in on you.
The ghost detectives hit the road in search of Pajic, but with him not being home, arresting him might prove to be trickier than they thought.
All right, we just talked to our contact. They're on a standby now because he's an hour away to the south. Myself and Walker, we're going to head down, try to lay eyes on him. Dealing with other states and other laws, we're trying to figure out what they can do, if they can transport across county lines even. They have questions about that. The problem we have is that the county that he was staying in or his home's in has set up for the extradition for us. And if he gets arrested in another county, everyone's extradition down here is different. So we'll have to scramble to try to get him sent back to Michigan. But we're going to go try to lay eyes on this guy and make sure we know where he's at.
Local authorities get a ping on Pajic's cell phone. Now the ghost team has to pinpoint his exact location.
All right, so our local team has tapped out for the day. They're on standby if this guy moves. Problem is he's in a 2-mile radius from his tower pings, and he hasn't moved yet today. Reached out to the FBI. We're going to try to see if we can get directional towers and maybe do a little trigonometry and see if we can cross-reference where he might be at, just limit it down a little bit. We're an hour away right now, so we're heading back to that area. If we got to, we'll do a grid pattern through that search, and we'll hit every neighborhood we can just to see if we can see his car. It's got a little Honda Civic, no front bumper, so it should be kind of easy to see. One more day of this guy being out in the world is one day too long, so we're gonna do whatever we can. One of our biggest fears is that he is reaching out to a new victim, and we're gonna do everything we can to stop that. We're gonna do everything we can to hunt him down and get him in custody, so we don't have that threat of him preying on any other vulnerable individuals. So that's what we are doing, and that's our main objective for tonight. Interesting thing about working for ghosts, this is Sergeant Walker's first time ever seeing the ocean. Silver linings to everything.
A short time later, detectives are hot on the trail and have him in their sights.
All right, so we got our ping location, and we're heading to that location, and lo and behold, we find our guy driving. So we're now tailing him right now. There's our guy right there, following him nice and close. We'll see where he ends up going. Florida traffic, we're tailing the car. Don't know where he's going. We hope he's going back to the area where we have people waiting for him. But the traffic here is thick, and we're dodging in and out of traffic.
But he's not going home. The ghost detectives follow Pejic to a bank parking lot, and now there's nowhere for him to run.
All right, he's in the bank right now. We're on the phone with 911. I'm gonna 1021 it. And right now we have him in the PNC Bank on the corner of
University and Nova.
University and Nova. We'd definitely like to get a mark unit to get him pulled over. Yes.
What color is the vehicle?
It's going to be a dark gray Honda Accord with a missing bumper. Human trafficking, sexual CSC warrant. His name is Pitar Pacek.
Pejic is cornered. The ghost detectives now have to carefully coordinate the arrest, keeping in mind they're in a public place with civilians all around.
One of the units is going to call you now.
Okay. Hello, this is Detective Walker. Hi.
Hey, we have a couple guys in unmarked coming over to you. Where are you at? How do you guys want to grab this guy?
Detectives Kennemer and Walker plan the arrest with local officers.
Well, preferably, you guys could get him in custody for us. Preferably, I don't know how this works with you guys down here, but we would, because we already have interview room arranged with Palm Beach County. If you guys could make an arrangement to meet up with them and transfer custody, where we could lodge him, because we have extradition and the interview scheduled with Palm Beach County.
Now we can't. He's probably gonna have to go to Broward if we grab him.
Okay.
Can we interview him?
Very strict on that down here.
Are we going to be able to interview him?
Yeah, we can take him back to RPD so you can interview him as long as there's an active warrant. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
When backup arrives, it's go time. Peter Pejic is just a few yards away inside the bank and doesn't have any idea what's about to go down. They carefully enter the bank and quickly spot Pejic in an office just to the right of the front door. An officer approaches Pejic and quickly pats him down and puts him in cuffs. Thankfully, Pejic is apprehended without incident. With Peter Pejic now in Genesee County Sheriff's Office custody, next they take him to the station for questioning. Detective Kennemer is about to be sitting across from the man for whom he flew more than 1,300 miles to apprehend, and now he wants answers.
What is going on? We're going to get into all that, my friend. I'm a lieutenant for our sheriff's office, and when I tell you where I'm from, you'll know what this is about. Are you a monster? Well, here's the deal. I'm from Michigan. Do you know why you're here now?
Pejic shakes his head no.
I didn't come down here by accident. Okay? And I believe you know why I'm here, right? I didn't just come from Michigan either. I came from Flint. Okay. Does that ring a bell? Yes. Okay.
It's now time for Detective Kennemer to reveal why he's there.
So listen, Peter. I know that you know she was 12, right? I know that. That's not a question. But what I want to see is if you would be able to step up and help her now so she doesn't have to go through this anymore.
Pejic has acknowledged why he's in the interview room, but Detective Kennemer wants to get the how.
So how did you meet her? Do you know her name?
No, I genuinely, I suspect it was based on her Instagram.
Where'd you meet her through? Twitter?
He tells the detective where on Twitter he met a 12-year-old girl.
There's like a community of people who age regress, as it's called. And one of the suggested posts that was brought up was one of her posts in her account.
Okay, you gotta help an old dumb white guy out.
Right, okay.
What is age regression?
Age regression is something I'm not too familiar about it either, but it's a kink that a lot of people have, you know, that they kind of get into like a space in their mind where they feel younger than they are.
Age regression is a psychological defense mechanism for those looking to escape certain aspects of their life. It can also be a hobby, sexual fetish, or kink.
So when you first started, it was like innocent, right? It was, you thought she was an adult.
Yeah.
And then you didn't stay talking to her on Twitter.
No, she had me move to Instagram.
How long did those conversations go on for?
On and off for about like.
All right. And what did these conversations?
It was mainly her. I mean, even I had like, you know, doubts about the whole thing, and
sure,
you know, of course, I was kind of like, I didn't really, I didn't want to. I didn't think that I would be flying out.
When did it first talk about you coming to see her?
I don't remember when specifically. It was just more so like I had money, and I possibly may have made like a little quip like, oh, I could fly out. Like I have money, I work 2 jobs type deal. Which I guess for her kind of turned into like a huge possibility or opportunity for her. And I didn't, I really didn't think I was gonna.
Right. You were living into it. You were living into fantasy world.
I was living in a weird age regress kinky fantasy.
Okay.
You know, just this fantasy of me pretending to say to myself that this is just a kink thing and that she can't actually be this young.
Right.
I knew it was wrong. You know, I'll be upfront with you. I knew it was wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and say to you that it wasn't just me all kinds of messed up in my head.
Right.
I just.
Do you think you need some help?
I genuinely need help. That's what I need. And I never once did I do this out of an intent to hurt or out of an attempt to break or to make someone suffer or anything like that. And you know, because because it's something I shouldn't have done.
Would you be willing to write apology letter and tell her that you didn't mean to hurt her?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna give you some time to think about what you want to write to her, and I'll come back in and check on you in just a little bit.
Pejic is not too quick to put pen to paper. It looks like Pedjic is finally finding the words he wants to say to his victim. Now it's time for Detective Kennemer to get down to business and gather as many details as possible of the assault. The question, though, is will Pedjic tell him the truth?
Where'd you pick her up at?
At a church across from her street.
Okay. And then you went to a hotel. Do you know what hotel that was?
Yeah, I know what it is. I forgot the name. Someone started with a B.
So, remember how I said we gotta go over a couple things that are embarrassing?
Yeah.
Or did she perform oral sex on you?
Yes.
Did you perform oral sex on her?
Yes.
Did you try to put your penis inside of her?
Yes.
Did you film her giving you oral sex?
Yes.
How many times did you film that? How many videos of there are of this?
Too short.
Detective Kennemer got Pedjic's confession, but the other shoe is about to drop, making this case even bigger than anyone could have anticipated.
Have you met with anyone else that's under?
There was
Okay, Peter.
there were two others.
Were they here or did you go to
Washington State. Oh, yes, one was in Washington State, and the other one I drove to Oregon.
How old were they?
16 and 14, 15.
You guys had sex up there?
Yeah.
Pedjic has just confessed to having sex with two other underage girls. Detective Kennemer is now face-to-face with an alleged serial child predator.
So other than these three people that we've talked about, nobody else?
Nobody else.
Do you have anyone else you're talking to right now that is being...
I will admit I do have kind of almost like a network in Twitter on my Twitter. However, even though there are mentions of me going places, I haven't thought about committing to them at all.
Anything else that we haven't talked about?
Honestly, I'm so my brain is all over the place right now. I'm trying to think. I don't want to not be honest with you. I don't want you to run into any surprises. I know what I did, and I know it was wrong, and I got caught for it. And
so here's what I want to happen, okay? And I want you to fly back with me, because you're gonna have to come back and talk to them.
Am I specifically going back there to be jailed over there? Is there a whole thing?
Well, you're gonna have to go see the judge right away, right? And that's what I'll want you to do, and then it'll be up to the judge what'll happen.
Detective Kennemer then asks Pedjic about one particular disturbing piece of evidence.
You did come to Michigan with a Plan B pill. You still have that at your house? All right. In the backpack? Is that...
It's no longer in the backpack. It is... I'm sorry. I really genuinely hate myself. All these fantasies were driven by my loneliness. Fantasies are whatever. But I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a girlfriend that I could see. I was just always lonely, and I gave into the shit.
He also provides the location of a secret digital device.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off topic.
I'm worried for that.
The Plan B pill is in the top drawer. It's a little plastic drawer from IKEA or something.
Okay.
That is to the left of my desk.
Okay.
That is also where you will find the other phone. That other phone, it is purple. It has my alternative Snapchat, which is how I used to meet.
There are gonna be a lot of photos on that one.
There's gonna be some photos and videos from that one. Yeah.
As Detective Kennemer gets up to leave with all the evidence and information he needs to prosecute Peter Pejic for his crimes against 3 children, Pejic has one more question.
So, like, how is this gonna work, like, between now and when we fly
So
back?
here's what's gonna happen, okay? They're gonna get you in front of a judge as soon as they possibly can. If you say you're gonna fly back and talk to our judge, then it's called waiving extradition, and then hopefully they'll let you fly back with it.
Do I get to call or see anyone?
Yeah.
I need to tell people that I'm gonna be gone for a while.
While Pejic waits behind bars to go before a Florida judge to be extradited to Michigan, the Hollywood, Florida Police Department SWAT team and officers descend on Pejic's home to execute the search warrant. They find more cellular devices, a Plan B morning after box, and the clothes he was wearing during his time in Flint, Michigan. All now part of the evidence against him. While the capture and questioning of Pejic went as smooth as can be, there was still one more issue the ghost detectives had to wait on.
All right, this is our last day down in Florida. Our suspect has got to waive his rights right now. So we're waiting. The court should probably start in about 15 minutes. So it comes down to whether or not he says who he is and that we have that active warrant. If he waives it, then he flies back with us, and we have to get ready to transport a high-risk prisoner in the airplane, in the airport, get him back to Michigan so he can face justice for our victim. Absolutely. Okay, court just got done with. Mr. Pejic waived his right to a hearing. He's ready for us to pick him up when it's time for us to go to the airport. He'll be flying back to Flint, Michigan, where he'll be transported to the Hansen County Jail and face justice for sexually assaulting our 12-year-old victim.
As the plane's wheels touch down in Detroit, Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson is waiting to take his man into custody.
What had happened is you have a 22-year-old guy from West Palm Beach, Florida, that used Instagram to groom this little girl who was 12 years old. They groomed her and convinced her to wait for her and wait for him in a parking lot at midnight of a church. He flew from West Palm Beach to Detroit, right here at Metro Airport, rented a car, drove to Flint, and picked her up at midnight, took her to a local hotel in Mount Morris Township, and sexually assaulted her.
Right against the wall, face the wall.
Left her that next day, went back to Florida. That's what started this investigation. Because of the great work of the Ghost members, and we worked with West Palm Beach, Florida, Hollywood, Florida, Broward County Sheriff's Office, we're able to identify using our tools of investigation. At that point, our investigation showed that not only did he do it in Flint, Michigan, but he also, from then till now, flew to Washington State and assaulted a 16-year-old. And then went from Washington to Oregon and assaulted a 14-year-old. And the 12-year-old was from Flint, Michigan, which is the reason why the Ghost team is here, and this is why we're doing this. And I'm showing you, it doesn't matter where people are, it doesn't matter where they live, if they come into this county of Genesee and they assault, they sexually abuse, they traffic, they do whatever they need to do, whatever they want to do, thinking they're going to get away with it, we're going to come find you. And this is why we're here. So Pejic's going to come right down from this door. My name is Sheriff Chris Swanson. You're in custody by the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. Do you understand that?
I do.
And you have a 9-count felony warrant. That's from our jurisdiction. Do you understand that?
I do.
Where you're in custody, you're going to be transported to the Genesee County Jail for further investigation and further custody. Do you understand that?
I do understand.
Do you have any medical concerns or any issues that are going on right now?
Current medical, none.
Okay. We're going to take you to this police car. We're going to put you in the back. We're going to transport you to Flint, Michigan. Do you understand that?
I do understand.
Let's go.
When the digital evidence found at Pejic's home is brought back to Genesee County for further analysis, what the techs find is alarming and will further build the case against him.
He also videotaped the interaction and was selling the footage. He turned it into a sexual assault porn industry. He had 2,700 videos on his phone.
2,700.
2,700.
And of those, how many were pornographic videos, potentially evidence of a crime?
Pornographic, the majority, but evidence of a crime, Captain Nelson, who is our forensic downloader, had just under 79 videos of victims under the age of 7.
The videos he was making of these rapes of children, he was selling?
Yes.
Do we have any idea of the mechanics there? How much money he was making? How he was doing this?
I don't know the answer to that, but it's not uncommon that many, I don't know the answer to that right now, but this is why we have federal partners that can take that and see who on the back end. But again, you could have somebody from another country, 10,000 miles away, in Australia, and we're not going to be able to charge that person. So this is a global economy when it comes to the underbelly of society. What we do know is it's not just money people want. They exchange images and think of collectibles. That's what they see these as. So they will give you an image to get 2 images. And that's how child porn addicts and pedophiles and predators, that's their currency.
Also found on Pejcik's cell phone were text messages between him and the 12-year-old girl. Text messages that can account for his additional whereabouts while in Flint. In an alarming discovery, Pejcik allegedly followed the girl to a Walmart where she was shopping with her family. He texted her to meet him in the family bathroom where they would kiss, telling her he doesn't want to get caught. Thankfully, Pejcik did get caught. It is in the custody of the Genesee County Sheriff's Office where he can't hurt another child. Child predators who stalk and groom underage children are an epidemic, not only here in the U.S., but around the globe. Sheriff Swanson and the Ghost team want to put them behind bars, obviously, but another priority is to educate parents and society in general. What's the lesson of this case? I mean, it's horrifying, I think, to a lot of parents that a child could be targeted on Instagram. This isn't necessarily a dating site. This isn't necessarily, an explicit area of conversation. This is where kids are, talking to other kids. What's the lesson of this case?
So go back to, 30 years ago when people were always telling their kids, don't talk to strangers because they're right there, They have the vans with no windows and they're offering candy, and that happens. But the internet has transitioned into those same vans with no windows, and people are right there with you by the millions, and they are seeking and roaming. And they have different doors that they open to get in. And I think the lesson is that it's real. People don't like to hear about 12-year-olds getting raped, so they don't talk about it. That's why I'm so committed to being on your platform is you have a voice to the world. And if your interview with me can get somebody to talk about it, and it could be happening right now and it stops, like we just saved a kid that we won't even know.
I reached out to Pejcik's attorney for comment and requested an interview with Peter himself. I did not receive a response. Peter Pejcik is being held on a $180,000 bond. He's facing 12 felonies in Genesee County, as well as federal charges, including first-degree sexual conduct, aggravated child sexually abusive activity, using a computer to commit a crime, distribution of sexually explicit material to children, and aggravated possession of child sexually abusive material. Pejcik has pleaded not guilty to all the charges, and his next court appearance is July 7th. Peter Pejcik is now in the Genesee County Jail awaiting trial on the charges associated with the Flint case. And it's expected he will face charges in at least 2 other states as well. If you have any information linking him to other crimes, you can make an anonymous call to the Genesee County Sheriff's Office.